Good morning, Angelo State. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to El Cafecito this morning. With us today, we have an ASU alum who achieved her BA in 2014 and not long after an MA in 2016. She's an assistant director of student activities at Southwestern University in Georgetown, Texas. Welcome, Jennifer Frias. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm well. Thank you all for having me. I really appreciate being here. I'm excited to answer some questions.
Awesome. Let's go ahead and get started then. What is the best way to start the day, in your opinion?
For me, it's with a good night's sleep. Because if I don't have a good night's sleep, have a terrible morning.
I think that might be all of us, but yeah.
Yeah.
What are some things you've had to unlearn?
So things I'm working on still and learning, because I think it's always a process, is definitely like beauty standards. If people think that there is only one standard of beauty to meet, and I know that ties a lot to like body shaming too. So being more self-accepting and having more radical self-love. And then also it's okay to talk about your feelings and your thoughts. I think growing up in a Hispanic family, and I probably most anybody's family can relate somehow to, it's not always okay to talk about your feelings. So I'm trying to remind myself, like, it is okay. You can share your thoughts. It's okay to disagree. Um, which I feel like I can hear my mom saying, no, it's not. Like, but so those are things I'm still trying to unlearn.
See, and I can definitely agree with that. Coming from a traditionally Hispanic home, there's always an emphasis on masculinity and never disagreeing with, like you said, never disagreeing with your parents because it's disrespectful. When there is a healthiness to this, not disagreement, but like a civilized debate, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like talking about like people's opinions. I think, which I feel like I see that a lot. I remember feeling that when I like went to ASU, and I'm learning things that are different. I'm meeting people who are different from me. I'm around a different community, and then you go home and all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't notice like my home life was like this or things were like this. And it's not so much that like your hometown's changed, right? It's like you that is changing, and you're taking on these different ideas, which is a really powerful and painful process, I
Oh,
think.
yes.
So, yeah.
What is your favorite genre of book or movie?
Oh, books are so difficult because I mean, definitely coming from an English major, that's hard to pick.
That's a hard question.
Um, but for movies, I really love watching like thrillers or mysteries. So I find a lot of enjoyment in trying to figure out see a movie as a puzzle. So I like movies that don't have predictable endings because I
Mhm.
think that's kind of fun to try and figure things out.
That's great. I've always enjoyed like trying to get the bigger picture. I'm like, what? Okay, why did they do that? Why did they do this? That kind of thing. Yeah. If you could know the truth behind any one secret or mystery, what would it be?
For me, it took me a while to think about this one, but I definitely want to know more about the universe because I have never felt like we're really, really alone.
Uh-huh.
And I don't say like, I don't like the way aliens are always portrayed in movies. It's always like negative and they're gonna come for our resources. I'm like, no, I think people are going for other people's resources. I want to believe it's a more like peaceful and like, I don't know, intellectual thing, kind of almost like Marvel, like how we see people from other worlds and it's actually like they become our allies. That's
Uh-huh.
how I kind of think of like, what does the universe really look
Yeah, that is really interesting. I have to agree with you on that one.
like?
When was the last time you climbed a tree just for fun?
Just for, I was back at home in Del Rio, and my sister, I have a little sister who's 12 now, but this was when she was, oh, I want to say maybe like 8 or maybe 7. She was little, and my mom really wanted to take a picture with both of us. So she's like, go get up in the tree. And usually it's like parents are telling you, don't climb the tree. She wanted to take a picture of us. So it's been a while. I haven't attempted to climb trees lately. Um, I don't want to take any risks like that, but that was the last time.
Yeah, we had a tree growing up that had like an arm, like one was going this way and then it looped like a curve. And so all of us during the summertime or when we were at my grandparents, we would climb it and just all of us sit right there eating popsicles, having a good old time. Okay, so what is a special place that you have, or I'm sorry, what is special about the place that you grew up in?
So being from a small border town, Del Rio, Texas, which is only, trying to remember, it's only like 150 miles south of San Angelo. For me, growing up in a border town was really special because it was just interesting. I feel like a lot of the people I grew up with were really like looked like me, or were, it felt like a really big community because like I'm Hispanic, and so being on a border town too really felt like you kind of could get to know everyone really well. And I'm really grateful to have both of my families, like sides, both my grandparents, and I have uncles and cousins who all live there. So it was a really unique experience for me to really feel like the whole town could kind of be my community. And so I really valued that. I always felt welcomed and I always felt safe because like I felt like a lot of my family, lived there. And I always felt like my grandmother knew everyone. Like anytime you go to the grocery store, oh my gosh, I mean, you have to plan for at least an hour at the grocery store because of all the people she runs into. And so that made me feel like, wow, like we really know each other and we really stopped to say hello and how are you doing and ask about people's families. And so that was really special for me because I think that typically comes with smaller towns. So I really cherish that.
That's really cool. That's really sweet too. And yeah, I definitely feel like everybody kind of knows everybody, but having that sense of community and you feel safe, I think that's really, really cool and unique. Okay, so we have a 30-second challenge. So in 30 seconds or less, does cereal or milk go in first in the bowl and why?
So I've tried both techniques, and I find I have more success when I put cereal first before milk, because my intention when I have cereal, I'm like, I want more of the cereal.
Right? Everybody's intention.
Yes, that's my intention, or sometimes I even just eat it dry too, but yeah, so definitely before the milk.
How do you relax after a long, hard day of work?
I feel like I got to think about this one because I don't feel like I've had my traditional hard day of work since we've been in quarantine.
Yeah.
But typically, I really enjoy talking with my partner, Alex, or even giving my mom a phone call. I think just getting to talk about your day with someone is really a nice way to unwind.
Yeah. If you had a crest or a symbol that represented you, what would it look like?
I picture like flowers, because I really enjoy, like, gardening's always been a big part of my life, especially with my grandmother. And I picture like maybe like flowers with like an open hand or something, because I feel like I would want to be welcoming to people and let people know like this is a space you're welcome to come in and like have conversations. And I like that flowers like signify growth too.
Oh, yes. I think that would be really pretty. Alex.
Yeah, hey, Alex, let's start. Yeah, use that graphic design degree.
What would be the most amazing adventure to have?
I think it would be really amazing to see all the natural wonders around the world, even just like the parks, like natural parks, and just things that haven't really been too touched by like civilization. Like,
yeah,
I think there's a lot of beauty in that, and just things that are naturally created like that. So I think that would be an amazing venture to travel around. And I would take Alex along too, because I know he'd want to go too.
What is the best lesson you've learned from a work of fiction?
So far, I think, and I have the book, if it's okay to share with?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so I've read I'm Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter by Erika Sanchez.
Uh-huh.
And so it's a young adult literature book, but I think it's really powerful because I didn't grow up reading a lot of books that were written by authors that look like me, were from communities from me.
Uh-huh.
So it really resonated with me. And for me, that lesson was like thinking of people, I think people, especially that we see in our families that we think are perfect or always follow the rules, I think they're really just trying to live up to expectations, and sometimes really unrealistic expectations. So I just think of like people just aren't always who they seem to be, even if they seem like they have it all together. It just really isn't. I think there's a lot of times they're just struggling with things.
And that's that's amazing that you bring that up. It's kind of, it goes with a lot of like how we function as a society today with, you know, with social media. You know, you get to see everybody's life through rose-colored glasses, but we don't want to see the metaphorical 20 other selfies that don't get posted. And I think that's a really good uh what's the word, thought or awareness to, you know, maintain as
Yeah.
we go throughout our lives and things like that. uh
Yeah.
what is the best advice you have for first generation students?
Well, being one myself, I think there's a lot of value in knowing that you're not alone in the steps that you're looking to take or need to take. And definitely take time to connect with others who are going through a similar process. I think a lot of times, and maybe they might not look exactly like you or be from where you are, but first generation, I think, comes into a lot of communities. So I definitely feel like find your mentors, you know, join an organization or several organizations, maintain a support group, because I think sometimes, you know, I had I've had close friends where I remember, you know, we went to ASU together and their families weren't always supportive of them going to college, which is difficult when you're trying to create generational change, right? You're like, I want to be someone who is looking to access different opportunities that we haven't always had. And so that can be it can be really discouraging when you don't feel supported. So I think for me, it's like finding your making connections, finding your chosen family. Because I think sometimes our chosen family are the people that really, like, there's other people you can call at 2 a.m. when you're having a breakdown, like, why did I do this? Or, you know, when you're having self-doubt, and especially when you know, I think a lot of times something I've faced, and I feel like, which is probably common with people who are trying to break out and do something different, is that imposter syndrome. Like, how do I maintain confidence in myself? How do I be patient with myself? And so I think that's definitely really, you know, the best advice I can think of to give first gen students is, you know, find your support group, like create that community for yourself too, and to remind yourself that you are exactly where you need to be, you know, and feel like you're worthy of that opportunity.
Of course, that's amazing. What are some small things that go a long way to making the day better?
A hug from Alex. I definitely am always that person. Like,
Aw.
can I have a hug? I'm always asking. I'm a very, like, I really, you know, that's important to me to have hugs from people who care about you. I love playing with my cat, Sophie, and she brings me a lot of joy too.
Aw.
And laughing with my family. I think laughter is such a big part of my family as well. Like, we're always making jokes about other things or ourselves or each other. And so that brings me a lot of joy too.
Aw, those are all great things. Another 30-second challenge. What is the most impressive thing you know how to do?
For me, it's like depends on like who thinks what is impressive too. But for me, I've always been told, or people always share me, like, oh, you're really good at like problem solving on the fly, or having a really good comeback and just being like kind of funny like that. And so I think if that's what I've been told the most. So I think maybe that's the most impressive thing about me. So I think that's fun.
That's cool. So your friends love your cleverness. That's amazing.
Yes, I remember I was a part of Alpha Phi Omega,
Uh-huh.
the service fraternity at ASU, and when I had my pledge class, or when I was in my pledge class,
Uh-huh.
they gave me the most wittiest award. So they loved that I could actually.
Amazing. I love
I
that.
know, they printed out a certificate and they gave each new member like a kind of a special award based on their traits. So I was really proud. I was like, what? I didn't prepare anything. So that was really nice to be recognized for that.
Where do you usually go when you have time off?
So definitely, my top three places, like, I love going home to Del Rio. I'm
Mhm.
always planning trips to go home. I always did that a lot, even as a student at ASU too.
Uh-huh.
And we try to go home at least once, once every so many weeks. Like there was something valuable about being at home. I also go to visit my friend Blanca in Louisville, Kentucky. So I've gone to visit her a few times. So that's very different. I've never really traveled a lot up like the northern states. But I also like planning like trips to the beach with Alex, which we haven't had to plan one this year yet, unfortunately, but the beach is definitely a nice, relaxing place to go.
Awesome.
What could you give a 40-minute presentation on without preparation?
I would say definitely organizing. I think oh my gosh. I think of myself as like Maria Kondo instead of Maria Kondo. Because I love organizing. It's just something that's so relaxing of like, look at what you have. Do you really need this? Like, I love that. And I feel like I've been, because this is something I've seen in my family and I even see in me too. I'm like, okay, I like to get real deep with it. Like, what's the reasons? Why are we holding on to things? Like, I love like going deeper. Let's go deeper.
Yes, I definitely have done that as well. Where like, it's like, do we really need this, or do I really need this in my closet right now? And it's usually I'll donate it. And so it's just like, because sometimes you just have too much stuff. You're just like, why do I have this? And you have to at least use it somewhere else or give it to someone that can use it for something else,
Yeah, it's like maybe someone, and I'm always asking, like, I love that, like, I'm not an avid user, but my mom is like, oh yeah, like there's community yard sales on Facebook and stuff like that. And she is always on it. Like, she's like, oh, I sold this today and this. And I'm like, oh,
right.
she's like, oh, like I know someone else who can use this. So I love that. So it's just like, how do we share? Because we might have to.
Right. What advice do you have for new students coming into campus?
So for students this fall, I definitely say, or want to encourage people to become familiar with any new safety guidelines and like campus culture for COVID-19, because things are going to look different. And I know like every campus is doing things, and just try to be like patient, because like I think for the fall, it's going to be a lot of like, how do we help? Like we're trying to think, I think more globally, or at least more community, like larger than just ourselves, like what I want to do, but like more like how can I help others too? Definitely prepare. I think research what you're going to need for classes, if there's books or materials. I really encourage renting books, or even borrowing books from the library. I know when I used to work at the library at ASU, there were a lot of textbooks that students could check out, and you might not be able to take it to your like residence hall with you, but you could be in there, use the book and do that. So I think there are definitely techniques to really cut down on costs like that, because books do get expensive. I think books are so expensive. I don't even want to think about how much money I've spent on books.
Right, same girl, same. I know, like I didn't know whenever I was in school, is like I didn't know that some professors would put books on the shelves that or in the library for you to check out, but you can't take them to like back home or anything like that. And it definitely helped with one of my classes during there. And I think it was only one professor that I had, but that just have that little bit of money can go to something else that you may need. I hope students, when they watch this video, they're like, oh, let me ask my professor to see if they have it in the library so that you could check it out there. Because I think you're also able to print, but also, I know you have like 800 printing credits, guys, but you don't want to like print the whole book. You can always go. Yeah. It's just like wild.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I remember, when they changed the print credits and everyone was like, some people were like, how could you do this? I felt for the majors, because I think the nursing, like they have to print out a lot of stuff. I never really. And then I remember the Multicultural Center has a bookshelf too, right? For people to, I don't know if that used to be something or if that still is something.
So we have the lending library still,
yes,
but we don't take books anymore. So that's something that we have like discontinued. But we always do have questions from students, like, word of mouth. And so they usually come and check. And sometimes we have them, but not all the time. It's more of like the lending library is what we have. And it's like on diversity and culture and things like that we have in there. So
definitely. But like those resources that like, I think new students would benefit from that. Like, oh, like thinking to ask.
Yeah, for sure.
I love that like there's access like that. And then definitely I would still like encourage too to like take advantage of any entertainment or socials that are going to be happening during rambunctious week or things like that, because I think it's like finding that balance between like your class time and then outside of class time too. And it's like the student affairs side, of course, coming out.
Of course.
Yeah. But yeah, but like, so finding that balance, you know, giving yourself that space outside of just being, you know, studying or being in your books, because I think like that's how you'll find your support system too.
Yeah. So when people come for you for help, what do you usually help them, or what do they usually need help with?
So because of what I majored in, like my degrees, people always ask for proofreading. Alex is for sure. He's always like, can you look at this? Can you read this? I've had people at my work ask me that. I've had people, just friends too, like, hey, can you read something for me? And I'm always happy to do it because I think, you know, just helping them communicate a little bit better or seeing what I can do. Or sometimes people are like, they have really good writing and it's fine. It just depends more. And then I've also had people come to me just to like take a moment to talk about things, you know, just catch. I think I find that a lot. I think with the type of work that I do, people, and I'm glad people see me as someone who's approachable to just have a conversation with, and really just like hear them out. And I think sometimes people are just looking for someone to listen.
Yeah,
so
definitely. Yeah. If you were given 1,000 acres and did not need to pay taxes on it, but you could not sell it either, what would you do with it?
I have this vision. I would love to create and build like a community center where there are resources for people to access, like whether it's like education classes or free therapy or just like art. Like I see a space like similar to, there's this place in Del Rio, the Casa de la Cultura, and it's essentially like, you know, it's a space where you can take art classes and you can go learn how to bake and just, so I can see a space like that, because I think if we can give opportunities to come together as a community and like just understanding each other more, I think that helps people long term too. But I think it's really cool to like have a really like expansive space like that, for things like that to happen.
Yeah, I'd go.
You're my person. Awesome.
What is something you think everyone should do at least once in their life?
I think if people are able to, I definitely encourage to either try to live or work like outside of your country, to gain a better perspective. I know in high school, you know, I mean, living Del Rio, so my family, we live stateside. And then my dad, he commutes to Mexico every day to work. And he works in information technology, so he helps manages things there. And they gave the opportunity for employees, like children, to go and work over there, like as an internship. And so I decided to do it. And I'm not 100% fluent in Spanish, you know. I can understand it and hear it, but I was nervous. I was like, I don't know, like there's going to be this barrier, which, you know, but I'm glad I went and I did it, because people were really patient with me and like tried to teach me. And like, it was nice to like meet people who like were bilingual like me, or spoke both languages, or people who were just, you know, they couldn't speak any English at all. So it really put me in the perspective, okay, like how can I best communicate with people? So I really like that too.
That's a really cool experience.
Dang, this next question is going to be hard to top after that one. So, frozen yogurt or ice cream?
I have to say, I mean, they're both good in their own way, but I'm definitely more of an ice cream person.
See,
Especially like pistachio ice or pistachio almond. I love that ice cream. It's so good.
I am too, but because I'm lactose intolerant, ice cream is an extreme luxury for me unless I can find like the lactate ice cream and like little no carb lactose free little bars, and like even then it's not as like, it doesn't taste as good as like a tub of like Blue Bunny ice cream.
That's frustrating.
It
But
is.
it seems like more and more people are coming out with more like dietary restrictions or like alternative types of things. So I love that that's coming out more. I'm like, you walk past the ice cream aisle and you're like, wow, I didn't realize there's so many types of ice creams.
What would your first question be after you've awoken if you were cryogenically frozen for 100 years?
I would want to know, what does leadership look like? Because
That,
I want to know who's in charge. Because I'm like, what does that mean for me?
definitely
That
no.
would be my first question.
That's a good one. How do you
Yeah.
think phones will be in 10 years?
Something tells me, I feel like, I'm sure there'll still be like a variety of styles, but I could see like the flip phone making a comeback. And
So
maybe like the rumor, did you all remember those? Like the keyboard you had to push up? I'm serious.
I have one.
Yes, I can see that. Because I just feel like stuff always makes this return, and I feel like it would come back somehow.
So have you seen that they're coming back with the Razor? Like, you know, the little flip phone Razor. They're coming back with. I think they're even coming back with.
It's so, see, it's happening. It's
And
just
it's crazy. All right, truth or dare?
Ooh. Okay, let's go with dare. Let's try.
Awesome. And feel free, you can back out as well.
This-
Hum a song until the group has guessed it correctly.
Okay. I think I can do that. Okay. I'm just going now.
Oh, whenever you're ready.
You like prepping?
Oh, it's Lizzo, but I don't know what the name of the song.
Lizzo, yeah.
Yes.
I was like, it's Lizzo.
Something with toss my hair, check my nail or something.
Check my nails.
Yes,
Yeah.
good as hell by Lizzo. Yes, y'all got it. I'm gonna get it.
All right. What is something everyone seems to be obsessed with, but you just don't see the point in?
Oh, I cannot get on board with smart speakers. I can't do it. I can't. Like Google Home and Alexa, I cannot. I just can't do it yet. I'm not there. And I don't know if I will be. I love that commercial. I can't remember commercials, but they're like, smart speaker, play easy listening. Like, I see this with my family and friends, like they're yelling at their devices, and I'm like, just pick it up and do it yourself.
So it's really cool. I've started noticing things on, like, you know, like comedic shows, or like just not even comedic shows, but just different shows in general. I've noticed that, you know, different forms of entertainment are taking that into consideration. And I think there's that subtle thing where they're like, hey, let's turn them on in people's houses from our TV show. And, you know, the character will say, Alexa, play this and this. And I've had my Alexa go off because the TV said it, and it always scares me. So it's just something that I picked up. I'm like, did they know that it was going to set off? They're like, these people like.
And I'm just, I don't know. I think it pays to be a little paranoid too sometimes, because I'm like, when are they not listening? Like, I just can't get on board. I can't do it, but I see the value. Like I was talking about it with Alex. I'm like, I see the value though with like if people can't turn on lights themselves or stuff like that. But I'm like, I cannot personally get on board. I'm like, I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
If you could change one activity in the Olympic sports, what would you have a chance in winning at a medal?
I say like organizing the fridge and pantry.
Ooh, yes, that would be fun.
It's fun to watch people's techniques and where do they start first and what show goes on what. I don't know. It goes back.
I know my family and I, we just reorganized the pantry, and then my dad found this metal shelf somewhere, and now we have it in a different area. So it's like we have cans on this one because it's like a lot sturdier than like the ones that we have in the pantry. So definitely there was some like organizing back and forth, going up and down, like where should this go? So yeah, I think that would be really cool.
Watch Netflix,
What?
like we make a show about it, like organizing show
Right? Netflix, shout out.
events.
Not sponsored. What quirks do you have?
Um, I know I tend to I like to sing along with what I'm doing. Like even if I'm like washing the dishes, I'm just like singing along as I'm doing it. And before I notice, I'm like, I see Alex staring at me. He's like, "What are you doing?" Like, I'm like singing. Um, and then I feel like I'm always able, and this is probably like a lot of people can do this too, is like recalling like so many movie and TV quotes. Like I do that a lot with my dad too. I feel like we always bonded a lot over stuff like that, and we still do. But just like picking out quotes and stuff from like oh, like I remember that. I think being really good at remembering stuff like that.
That's cool. Do you think technology simplifies life or makes it more complicated?
Well, I think it depends on the situation because sometimes it's like technology has been really helpful, but
Yeah. Most recently, yes, because it kind of like helps the social distancing part for us
yeah,
to be, still sociable with everybody, but from a distance.
definitely. But then there are moments I think of like the smart speakers or
Yeah, that's how like you kind of answered it earlier, but yeah, definitely it's just like when are they not listening, like you said?
yes. I don't know, but I think it can help, but I also feel like there's still like that value in like doing things yourself
Hmm.
or definitely like trying to have conversations like more one-on-one. Like I think of like we talked about social media too, where like everybody in the comments, but it's like things get misinterpreted. So sometimes I think it doesn't do as much for communication sometimes, but
Yeah. In 3 words or less, what do you believe, or what would be the best, thing to hear as you were going under anesthesia before surgery?
the
The
best thing
worst thing. No, the worst. I'm sorry.
I would not want to hear wish us luck. Like
Oh my god, I would freak out. Oh my goodness, yes, I would be like, what? Hopefully everything goes well by that time, right?
I know.
What is the best way to stay motivated and achieve goals?
I think finding people and like finding and learning from people who have those similar goals and then try to set up because this is something I'm trying to work on too, like setting up systems that like help you achieve those goals too. So like making it easier for you to like to do it too in a way. Like not that hard work isn't good, but like if there's something simple you want to start with, I think if we can set ourselves up for success. And I don't know, definitely like learning, there's so many people who either like I like learn from like on YouTube or just blogs or just on Instagram too, of like here's how they're trying to achieve the same things like you're trying to achieve. I think
Yeah.
like that's a good way too.
I think starting small and then working your way up is like a good start, especially if you want change within yourself, or like things that are around you you want to change. I think starting small and then working up definitely to achieve the main goal that you want is like where to start first.
Definitely.
So, which do you prefer, spring or fall?
Fall. I love fall so much. And it's not just because my birthday's in fall, but it's cooler. I feel like I love wearing my scarves. Like I love wearing all those accessories. And then just all these like warm spices, like
Uh-huh.
bake with and drink with and just all these different things. I love that.
Yes. See,
Yeah.
I feel like I can dress more. I feel like I have more options when it comes to dressing. But
Yes.
also, I just enjoy baking. As soon as October rolls around, I start making pumpkin bread and things like that, and it's just an exciting time. Speaking of different, holidays, if you could design a new holiday, what holiday would it be, and what traditions would it have?
Well, you brought up baking, and it's funny. I think of it'd be fun to have like a baker's day.
That would.
Um, just get together with like friends and family, and bake like a bunch of different things, and then you get to like share with people in your community, like having like, I don't know. I just think it'd be fun, like, because I love baking, and you mentioned pumpkin, like I love making like pumpkin cinnamon rolls, like that's so
Oh my goodness, yes.
like there's just something about like baked dough that's made from scratch, like I think that'd be
Mhm.
really
It is good. What kind of business would you start if given the chance?
I was trying to think of that. I think I would do something like have y'all seen those cat cafes? Like it's a business that already exists. But so when I was living in Los Angeles,
Uh-huh.
I was like, I had seen one and I hadn't gone to it. I'd never been to one at all. And I was just having a really down day. And I'm like, you know what? Let's just see if like I can get a ticket. And so I went to their website, and it was just the best decision I could have made. It brought me so much joy because like the apartment we were living in, you couldn't have animals. And
Uh-huh.
so, and I think that's a lot for like, it's much more common in like Los Angeles. It's funny because you see all these animals, but then a lot of apartments don't allow animals. So I don't know what that's about, but doing a cat cafe. And so just having like the company of cats, and you can play with them and have coffee. And I loved that they were working with like animal shelters too. So like all the cats were rescued cats. And so you could actually adopt them too. And so I really like that concept of like, people who maybe can't have a pet at home,
Uh-huh.
but they can have fun, or maybe they find a cat that they like and they can adopt it and take it home.
Aw, it's a great system. My best friend actually studied abroad in Japan for a year. She was in Hikone, I believe, and they had went to one, and she said she loved it. She thought it was the coolest thing ever, but she just loved the cats there. It was really fun.
Yes, they're so playful. I was like, oh my gosh, because they're so yeah.
If you joined a rock and roll band, which instrument would you play?
I would have to pick the bass. I think it's just so deep sounding and so funky and playful that I feel like I would have a lot of fun playing it too.
Uh-huh.
Or it can be like vocal too. So I think that'd be good.
Cool. Okay, and finally, who do you think we should invite in for next week's or next editions of El Cafecito's 35 Questions?
I want to nominate two people. So I want to nominate an ASU alum as well,
Okay.
Shatara Robinson. We were actually in APO together as well too, so I think she would be really fun to see her responses to these questions. And then I want to nominate an ASU professor, Dr. Kevin Garrison from the English department.
Awesome. Sweet.
Heck yeah, we'll put that down.
Awesome. Well, thank you for asking me. I appreciate that.
Well, thank you, Jennifer, for joining us today.
Thank you so much. I had a lot of fun answering those questions. I don't usually like talk a lot about myself online, but I appreciate, from one round to another, getting to talk about myself. So.
Aw, heck yeah. Well, alrighty, MSAP fans. Be sure to follow us on social media and tune in next time for virtual El Cafecito. Bye.
Bye, y'all.